If you're working a full-time job, paying your bills on time, and still feel completely broke, you are not failing. The system is. The American middle class is disappearing. For decades, the middle class was the absolute backbone of the US economy. It meant a stable job, a home you could afford, a car in the driveway, and enough savings to build a better future for your kids. But today, that reality is slipping away. Millions of Americans are falling from the middle class into a constant state of living paycheck to paycheck. In this video, we are going to break down exactly why the American middle class is vanishing, who is getting hit the hardest, and what this all means for your future. And make sure you stay until the end, because this affects every single one of us. Let's start with the hard facts. Over the past 50 years, a few things have happened simultaneously. The middle class has shrunk significantly. The rich have gotten substantially richer, and the cost of just about everything has exploded. More and more Americans are now falling into lower income brackets, while wealth continues to concentrate at the very top. What used to be considered a solid middle-class income just doesn't feel middle class anymore. A salary that once provided comfort and stability now barely covers the essentials: rent or a mortgage, healthcare, childcare, groceries and transportation. The lifestyle hasn't changed, but the cost has more than doubled. People aren't living extravagantly. They're just trying to maintain the same standard of living their parents had, and it's becoming nearly impossible. So, what's the single biggest reason for this squeeze? Wages simply have not kept up. Not with productivity, and definitely not with inflation. Think about it. Americans today are working longer hours than ever before. We are more productive, using advanced technology to do our jobs more efficiently. Yet, when you adjust for inflation, real wages have barely budged for decades. At the same time, the costs of the biggest pillars of a middle-class life have gone absolutely insane. Housing costs have skyrocketed, making home ownership a distant dream for many. The cost of a college education has exploded, saddling graduates with crushing debt. And healthcare costs have become so astronomical that even with insurance, a single medical emergency can lead to financial ruin. So even when you get a raise, it feels like you're just treading water, or even falling further behind, not getting ahead. This is the core reason why dual-income households went from a choice to a necessity. For most families, one income is no longer enough to stay afloat. Let's dive deeper into housing, because this is where the middle-class dream really started to break down. For generations, home ownership was the primary way families built wealth and financial security. It was the foundation. Today, that foundation is crumbling. Home prices are completely out of reach for the average worker in many parts of the country. Mortgage rates have climbed, adding hundreds or even thousands to monthly payments. And if you can't buy, you're stuck renting, where prices are rising even faster than incomes. It's not uncommon for people to be paying 40% or even 50% of their take-home pay on housing alone. When that much of your income is just going to keep a roof over your head, what's left for everything else? There's little to nothing left for saving, for investing, for emergencies, or for retirement. Without a path to affordable housing, the middle class can't build wealth. It's that simple. Now let's talk about the other two financial anchors dragging families down: healthcare and education. These two expenses are absolutely crushing the middle class. First, healthcare. Even if you have insurance through your job, the costs are staggering. Premiums are high and they go up every year. Deductibles are so huge that you might have to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket before your insurance even starts to cover anything significant. One unexpected illness or accident can wipe out a lifetime of savings in an instant. Then there's education. The cost of college has exploded over the past few decades. This has trapped millions of Americans, young and old, in decades of student loan debt. Education was supposed to be the great equalizer, the ticket to opportunity and a better life. But for so many, it has become a massive financial burden that delays their ability to buy a home, start a family, or save for the future. So, with wages flat and costs for housing, healthcare, and education soaring, how did people cope? They turned to debt. Debt has become the new normal for survival in the middle class. We're talking about credit card debt to cover groceries and gas, auto loans with longer and longer terms just to afford a reliable car. those massive student loans we just talked about. And now, the rise of buy now, pay later services for even small purchases. Debt can feel like a lifeline in the short term, helping people bridge the gap and maintain their lifestyle. But in the long term, it's a wealth-destroying trap. High interest rates make it incredibly difficult to ever get ahead. The sad reality is that many middle-class families are now just one unexpected car repair or medical bill away from a complete financial collapse. On top of all this, the very nature of work has changed. The stable, middle-class jobs that once supported families have either disappeared or been transformed. Manufacturing jobs, a traditional path to the middle class, were shipped overseas in search of cheaper labour. Automation and technology have replaced millions of workers in fields from administration to logistics. And what has replaced many of these jobs? The gig economy. A world of contract work, freelancing and side hustles that often come with less stability, fewer or no benefits like health insurance or retirement plans, and certainly no pensions. The old promise of work hard, stay loyal to a company, and you'll be able to move up and retire comfortably just doesn't hold true for a huge portion of the workforce anymore. The security is gone. Beyond individual expenses, the economic system itself has shifted in ways that disadvantage wage earners. Tax policies for decades have increasingly favoured wealth and assets over labour and income. What does that mean in simple terms? The money you make from owning things, like stocks, real estate or a business, often grows faster and is taxed at a lower rate than the money you make from working a job. So, those who already have assets get richer at an accelerating pace. Meanwhile, those who rely on a paycheck to live find it harder and harder to catch up. If you don't own property, if you don't own stocks, if you don't own a business, you are fundamentally fighting an uphill battle in today's economy. This is the engine driving the ever-widening gap of wealth inequality. So, what does all of this mean for the future? If these trends continue, we're looking at a society with fewer homeowners and more long-term renters. A society with more personal debt and less financial security for the average family. The middle class doesn't just vanish overnight. It erodes slowly, one family at a time, until the foundation of the economy is weakened. A strong economy needs a thriving middle class with purchasing power. When that middle class weakens, the entire economic system suffers. We're seeing the social and political consequences of this erosion right now. It sounds bleak, but it's not hopeless. There are still ways for Americans to fight back and build financial security, even in this challenging environment. The old rules may not apply, but new ones do. It starts with focusing on increasing your income through high-value skills. It means aggressively avoiding lifestyle inflation when you do get a raise. It requires a focused plan to eliminate high-interest debt like credit cards. It means investing for the long term, even small amounts, as early and consistently as you possibly can. Building an emergency savings fund is no longer optional. It is critical. It's about shifting your mindset from paycheck-to-paycheck survival to long-term financial strategy. The middle class may be shrinking, but financial awareness is your best defense. If you feel like you're doing everything right, but still can't get ahead, if you feel like the American dream is slipping away, you are not alone, and you are not crazy. Understanding why the middle class is disappearing is the first and most crucial step toward protecting yourself and your family. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Because in today's economy, financial education isn't just a good idea, it's a matter of survival.